Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning and welcome to Encounter. I'm your host today, Joe Sellepack. I'm the Executive Director at the Broome County Council of Churches. One of my favorite subjects, and I guess I have to say this because I've been married now for almost 26 years this year, is the idea that marriage is something important and something that I've given myself to for a long time. My wife Shelley and I are very much in love, and our children are very much loved as well. And we function together as a unit. And it seems to me as if marriage is in the news again. Marriage needs to be defended, marriage needs to be defined, and the courts are currently across the country defining or trying to define what marriage means. In order for us to kind of come to some understanding of what marriage means for the world around us as well as for us personally, I have two guests. John Dubay, who is a marriage therapist. John, welcome to Encounter.
Thank you.
And Jan Prentice, who works as a counselor for the Samariton Counseling Center, and she has many married people who come to her for counseling as well. Welcome to Encounter, Jan.
Thank you.
Well, let's start off by talking a little bit about marriage. What do you think marriage means?
Oh, that's such a big question.
Yeah, it's the most difficult relationship people have in life, and I tell people there's nothing harder than being married. Mm-hmm. You know, you listen to President Obama 2 seasons back talking at a graduation, and he said the greatest thing I will look back on is not my political life, but my married life, and I bring that example up to people. The most difficult, challenging relationship is marriage. It's also the place that we grow the most. We grow spiritually, we grow psychologically, we grow as human beings in that between, in what is between us, husband and wife. And that's, in a nutshell, a part of what I bring out.
Mm-hmm. I would say in many ways it contains all the highs and the lows that life can offer. That it's the most challenging, sometimes the most troubling, and also has the potential to be the most rewarding and the most beautiful part of our lives. But if you enter into marriage thinking that this is just going to be just a sled down the hill, just an easy ride, you've entered into it with the wrong sense of what this is going to be like. It will be an uphill trudge some days and a downhill slide some days. So a commitment with challenges and rewards.
And some days it will be a mystery.
Yeah.
You know, and people want things to be black and white, and marriage is not black and white. Mm-hmm. And so bringing out the aspect of the ups and downs and the slides and the joys and the happiness, the mystery of it all, because something wonderful happens in the between, in the we, in between, what happens between husband and wife. And it's not just the sexual part. You know, it's the conjugal love, it's the intimacy part that the mystery unfolds in. The beauty of it seen in the birth of a child, you know, in the mystery of life there. In marriage is similar to the child.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that that the marriage vows are often kind of, you know, you look at them and you go, well, you know, that's antiquated, that's old, but it says for better, for worse,
right.
For richer, for poorer, mm-hmm. in sickness and in health, forsaking all others. There's fidelity in the middle of that. There's the ups and the downs, the slide, the roller coaster ride. There's the, for want of a better word, there's the way that you squeeze the toothpaste tube.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
and that can be an irritating thing in marriage, can't it? Because somebody squeezes it from the middle, somebody squeezes it from the bottom, and nobody feels as if they're. And using that kind of as an analogy, I mean, nobody feels as if they're being honored in the middle of all that, right? Mm-hmm.
So, but in looking at it, research, the Gottman Clinic in Portland, Oregon, is where a lot of marriages are studied. 70% of the problems on day one are there after 50 years. They're called perpetual problems. The toothpaste is an example. Those are always going to be there. You might even look and say, why would people go into that relationship? If the perpetual problems are always there, and how do we learn how to deal with them, which is what we do, teaching people how to compromise and how to deal with them. But it's the toothpaste is a good example, but there are bigger ones than the toothpaste. That can be solved.
Yeah, toothpaste tube, you could do it with, my in-laws did it with, I think they used paper clips.
Somebody thought they had to take control of this issue.
And they did. They took care of it. And but you're right. I mean, there are some issues that come up in relationships that are irritating over a course of time, and you have to either accept the person and the behavior, or you have to try to figure out how to work it out or how to leave.
Yeah.
And
how to be empathic, how to be compassionate, how to be affectionate, how to appreciate the other person, how to one of the mysteries is to say, oh, I said the wrong thing. Can I say that again? Can I have a do-over? And your partner says yes. You say, my God, somebody loves me so much that they will let me forget that statement and start over again, or a timeout, when to stop. I mean, it's just.
I think it is. You're speaking about the mystery. I think it is a miracle that you could take person A from family of origin A with baggage A and life experiences A and match them up with person B with similar and different family of origin, expectations, life experience, baggage, and just plop them in a house together and say, there, now you make a family. you go do family. And my goodness, sometimes it works. And often it works.
And further, have children.
Yes,
and in-laws.
Raise some children together.
Yeah.
It's a miracle that it ever happens, and it does, and so we can celebrate that.
And they can celebrate the holidays and be family with both, right?
Oh,
Yes.
boy,
Yes.
how challenging.
Yeah.
Very challenging.
So how we're defining marriage, it seems, is it's a mystery. It's relationship. It's family. It's love. It seems to me it's also, in a way, it's a discipline. And how do you balance that, the emotional side with the practical side, I guess, is the question I think that often people have problems with in marriage. And as marriage therapists, I think you probably have some wisdom to offer on that.
Yeah, well, I think the balancing of the emotional side and the commitment side is challenging, but just naming that is a step in the right direction. That yes, love is a noun, like a high chair that you could fall out of or a swimming pool that you could fall into, but love is also a verb. Love, that's where it's the commitment, that's where it's the discipline. You make up your mind to love the other person. I remember asking my grandfather the secret to his long marriage to my grandmother, and he said, well, I loved her. We loved each other. It's like, oh, it's that simple. And it is that simple, but it isn't always easy. So just pointing to that fact gets us moving in the right direction, I think.
Yeah. The emotional side, for me, is often a big part of it, because people are so stilted, that emotionally they have a difficulty expressing it. You get engineers, computer people. Our society is very analytical, which is not emotion. Analytical is over here.
Right.
Emotion is over here. The person is over here. Connecting the between is over on this side. And empathy and compassion is over on that side, and many people are very left-brain. Our society is crank out the product, get it done, get it done, get it done. You've got so many hours. And so then when they come in, just helping them to learn what emotion is, or people who grew up in alcoholic families or abusive situations, they hide their emotions. And so when emotions come out in a relationship, we have to help them to learn how to express the emotion, how to feel very often.
And how to express it in appropriate ways.
In appropriate ways, yeah.
Because it would seem to me as if, especially from the perspective of an alcoholic family, often those emotions are kind of displayed, but often in very inappropriate ways, and in places where either where the family has to somehow make excuses for the individual, or they have to defend, or they cover it up, and then in some ways alcoholism becomes the mystery of the marriage, and instead of it being the sacramental mystery that you talked about, I think, at the beginning when you were talking about marriage. But how do you work through that?
Yeah, I think one of the keys is understanding how boundaries, what you were raised with in your family of origin may have set your sense of boundaries off balance, that sometimes as a child you've been trained to believe it's your responsibility to take care of the other person's emotional state, and you feel very responsible. If that other person you live with is angry, you have to either stop them from being angry by telling them they mustn't be angry, or you have to manage your behavior so they never become angry, because really that anger is your responsibility. And that's incorrect. We have to kind of like have some education around boundaries to say, you need to understand what is yours. Sometimes it's a me issue. There's something going on inside me that I need to look at and address and be honest about. And sometimes I need to understand there's something going on inside you, and I can just be present with you, and I can try to understand why you're all riled up without taking something that's yours and making it mine. And then it gets into a tangled knot that we have to just kind of try gently to pull. Let's see if we pull at this string. Does that help you understand that, help us untangle the knot in the relationship?
We all leave home with burdens and benefits. And we look at our parents' marriage and we model that. Well, if our parents got divorced, it's, what am I going to model? They were married for 10 years and then I don't know what I do in year 11 or year 12. And very often it's helpful. Your parents had an ideal or a solid relationship. Her parents had a solid relationship. And so you've got benefits that are comparable on each side, values that are comparable. But sometimes you've got burdens that you have to look at and deal with, my burdens, her burdens, and how do we bring them together? How do we set them aside, or how do I recognize them? Okay, that's hidden in my eyesight. Now that I see it, I can change the reality of how I relate to you and how she relates to me. And some of that is what we do, helping people to take a look at their family of origin and see what they brought in. Because I believe if I deeply love her and I brought some good stuff from home. I definitely brought some good stuff from home, and so it's not they're all bad, here's the good stuff that I brought. Here are the graces that my family gave to me, and this is what I give. And her graces and my graces help to build that mystery. They really do. And it's a spiritual reality. And when you say to people, you're living in a spiritual reality, nobody ever says that. Nobody ever says that to them, and since they left church, since they went through the marriage ceremony. And it's become, for me in private practice, it's become us